Welcome to Whachacha's Tabletop World, the channel devoted to the love of board gaming. My name is Sweetness Whachacha, and here we are with a little off-topic video. Now, this is a gaming video, but it isn't a tabletop gaming video. But I'm hoping that this might help people a little bit who are thinking about buying a VR treadmill. Okay, so firstly, very important, this is my own experience, and you should take it with other people's experiences and other things that you find on the internet. This is only meant to be a piece of the information that you use to consider if you're going to buy a VR treadmill. Now, I bought a Katwalk C2 VR treadmill because I love the idea of VR. It's the ultimate escapism, and I was super excited about it. Now, I have an Oculus Quest 2, which I was using, and just a long story. I'm going to give you a little bit of background first. I get nauseous. I don't get seasick. I don't get really car sick. I don't get sick on roller coasters. I love roller coasters. But in the VR world, it's so convincing that you're moving, and the VR world is like, your eyes are like, hey, we're moving, and your body's like, we're not moving, there's something wrong, and you start to get nauseous because you're trying to get rid of whatever's poisoned you because there's something obviously wrong. And so I was having that problem quite a bit, and so I was hoping the VR treadmill could, cure that and unlock a whole world of just absolute unbridled joy of exploration and gaming for me. Now, the most important thing is that I want to say is that I am not a programmer. I have a working knowledge of computers. I can edit things. I can edit this kind of thing. I can, I don't know how to program, and I'm not great at troubleshooting problems on the computer. I can Google things and try to solve them that way just by following directions. But I'm not a programmer, and I think that's, I think if you're going to get one of these, you better be prepared to be doing a lot of troubleshooting and being able to understand how to do a lot of this stuff, and it's just not something I'm very strong at. On top of that, it is a very expensive thing to get. And this cost me like an entire month's pay after the shipping. It was even on sale. It's really expensive, but I was very hopeful that this was going to be really good for me. Now, I had previously bought the Cat Loco S, which is like something where you walk in place. And so I had got that, and I've had to buy a computer specifically to run this. Your Oculus Quest cannot run this. You need to have your own computer that's good at it. I thought my laptop, which I use to edit these video channel and stuff, would be good enough, but you can run a test on it, and I ran the test, and it was not good enough. So I ended up, it's kind of like, this is sort of a theme. It's a little bit of a slippery slope. You kind of buy something, and then you kind of have to buy something else, and then you have to buy something else. And that's sort of, I'm going to come back to the boat analogy a little bit later, but that's kind of a similar type thing. A couple other quick points also. Number one, I don't know if this is going to work for me. A lot of people love it. A lot of people don't like it because you're not walking like naturally, you're sliding. The thing about it is that this treadmill, it's kind of like a bowl, and it has a piece that you can spin around, and it attaches you to the treadmill. But that's not really the really wonderful part of the technological part of this. The whole thing is the shoes. Now, you have to get a pair of shoes that is in your size, and that has a sensor on the bottom. And when you're sliding your shoes on this treadmill, that's what reads you walking. So the treadmill really isn't the actual thing. It's really the shoes that you're wearing that do it. Now, I don't know if this would have worked for me, if it would have cured the nausea, or if it would have felt too weird walking. And unfortunately, you can't just go try one of these. I mean, it's a very rare thing. Obviously, they're very expensive. I already said that. And I would love it if there was a showroom or something that I could have gone to up in the Chicago area or something like that, where I could have tried it and see if it was really for me or not. So that was this was really a big gamble on a number of levels. Now, this is not like a PlayStation or an Xbox. I don't do any computer gaming. I have an Xbox. I'm not really that excited about video games. I wish I was more excited about them. But I'm kind of used to like, hey, this is an Xbox, plug it in, put your game in, and you're off to the races. So that's kind of my experience. And if that's your experience as well, this might not be good for you. Now, I've spent months on this project, okay? So I know that sounds crazy, but it's been a long time. I spent a few weeks on it. I get burnt out, and I sit out for a while or whatever. Much of this, me trying to get this thing to work, is you take a couple steps forward, you do a bunch of troubleshooting, you get kind of frustrated, and you leave it alone. Or and then you come back the next day or a couple of days later, or you realize, hey, I need another cable, I need another this, I need another that, and then you have to like order, go to the store and try to get it. They don't have it. Then you order it and you wait a couple of days and then pick up where you left off. And that's kind of the way the last few months have gone. I've taken like a month or two off, too, because I just get frustrated and I'm like just done with it. So it's been a very long adventure. So I mentioned troubleshooting, and that's really the nature of all of this. Okay. The way that this works is a lot of different programs are working together and trying to create this experience for you. As I say, it's not like an Xbox. You don't just plug it in and it's just that. There's a whole bunch of different programs that are working together to make this happen. And so you have to troubleshoot and get each of them working. Now, the first thing is just a practical thing. Like, for instance, you have this very big thing and not a lot of people have space in their house, so I put it in my garage. But then you have to, there's like the troubleshooting of like, oh, like I have to connect my Oculus Rift to something in the ceiling to come down to the computer, and I have to put the computer adjacent. And then it's kind of like, hey, I need wireless. Wi-Fi doesn't reach really to the garage, so maybe I should hardwire it in. So these are all like kind of these little solutions of like I got to hardwire, like run an Ethernet cord through the attic and bring it down and then plug it in and stuff like that. So there's a lot of like these like more analog solutions, which I tend to be a little bit better at because I'm not, like I said, I'm not a programmer. So, there's a lot of that kind of stuff that you're going to have to buy, little extra pieces, little things that you forget. You have to move things around and just make them so that they're, there's just a lot of like practical troubleshooting, I guess. So why is it taking so much troubleshooting and so many problems? Okay, so I'm going to try to explain this to you because this is like the meat of the discussion. So, Katwalk or whatever gives you some information. It gives you links and things that you can watch, some videos and things. But here's the problem. You can follow some of these, like you're like, okay, I'm like reading this stuff. Okay, I'm going to follow this link to a video, and you start watching the video and you try to do exactly what that person's doing. But you go into your Oculus and they say, click this, click that, click this, and you do that. And then they say, click this option. Well, that option is no longer there. And so you have to do a lot of this on your own because now you're saying, okay, well, that's not there anymore because this video is a year old and that technology is moving forward all the time and Oculus is changing their menu all the time. So let me just explain a little bit about what's going on. You have your Cat VR Treadmill. You have the Cat Gateway, which is this little device that you have to plug in that allows you to use the Oculus to, talk to the cat. Then you have your Oculus Rift itself. Then you have the software for Oculus on your computer. Then you have the developer, software for the Oculus, since you have to go into developer mode. Then you have your router. You have your computer. You have Steam, and you have Steam VR. All of these things, which are all working together. Essentially, you're kind of like saying, look, I would love to get a fast food meal, but I'd like parts of it to come from Wendy's, some parts to come from Arby's, I want some parts to come from McDonald's, I want some parts to come from Burger King, and all of you guys, can you please just talk to each other and make this meal happen for me? Oh, and there's no manager on duty. That's essentially what you're dealing with. You have to get all of these things to work. Now, talk about the troubleshooting, and I want to just mention this thing about Steam VR, or Steam rather. Okay, so I went to get Steam, and Steam I didn't have it before, and I go to get it, and I tried 10 different times, and it's a very lengthy process of 5 minutes at a go of just trying to get it to understand I'm a human being. I'm clicking, and I pass these all the time. I'm not stupid. I know what a traffic light is. There's these tests, but it would not let me in. It would not agree that I was human. Then I tried to download Steam VR, and Steam VR says, and it would not finish downloading. It was locked. It was having some kind of problem. Okay. Now, you're probably thinking oh, I never have really any problems with Steam or whatever, so it's just you. Well, that's fine. That's not really the point. This is the point. Those two problems were with Steam. I had to troubleshoot them, but they were easy fixes. That, I had to just go online, do some research, why does Steam not want to recognize this? How do I fix this? Okay, it's done. A little time consuming, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever. It's done, okay. The thing with it not downloading the thing, that was a problem with Steam, not being able to download it, whatever. I did some research on that, had to change some things, get it to accept that it would download that, fine. My point is that those two things were easily fixable, and they were very obviously Steam problems. So all I have to do is Google that and figure that out. But the biggest problem is that that's one link of the chain, and I knew which link it was. But the problem is that you'll have a lot of problems and you don't know which of the 10 or 12 links that you have is having the problem. And it's not so easily Googleable, excuse me. And so like, that's the nightmare that this thing like becomes, where you're like doing things and you don't know why it's not working. And you just kind of keep trying and trying and trying. Okay, I'm not gonna go through all of the troubleshooting problems, which, I mean, again, there's like, it was just on and on and on, all kinds of problems all the time, just constantly, to the point of like just being completely frustrated. All I want to do is see if this thing works and get to try it. I'm going to tell you just about the thing that killed me, because here's spoiler alert: I never got it to work. I never even got to try it. And I'm not, as I said, I'm not going to go through all the problems, of which there were plenty. It was very plentiful. I'm just going to tell you the thing that kind of just completely killed it, and I was just done. Okay. So AirLink, the two ways that you can communicate your Oculus to your computer and to the Katwalk, all this stuff, is either via AirLink, which is like Wi-Fi, or you can hard plug it in. Now, they always recommend that you hard plug things in because it passes data better, like it's faster, blah, 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 whatever. Okay, so I was using the AirLink and I had all kinds of problems with the AirLink. And so I said, okay, I ordered a cable. This is another one where it's like, okay, I'll order this cable and then I have to loop it around or whatever, make a trip to, you know, the Home Depot or whatever, and order the link online, since I went to Best Buy and they didn't have it. So, okay, so a week later, I got all the pieces, I set it all up, and I'm trying this out. Okay, so now the AirLink, the hardwired cable AirLink, is something with Katwalk is crashing not only this program, but my entire computer. And I can't even Control Alt Delete to get to the task manager. It's completely locked my computer up. I can't use it. So what do? I go and I do a bunch of Googling and try to figure it out. And other people are having this problem. I looked on Reddit and stuff, and there is no known fix for it right now. And they say, go use the AirLink. But the AirLink had its own set of problems that led me to this. So that was it. I really gave this a try, and it was just frustrating and ridiculous to the point of like, it was a mistake. And it's too bad. I would love it if this technology was there. And I'm happy for anybody that has bought one of these and is enjoying it. You know, I've watched some videos online and things of people using it and having a good time. And that's great. But if you're like me, and you have it's more challenging, or you have these problems and you don't want to have to do all this troubleshooting and work for weeks on trying to get things to work, if you're like me, this is useful information for you. Now, I said the thing about the boat before. Boats, there's this old adage: the two happiest days of a boat owner's life, the day he buys it and the day he sells it. Boats are sort of legendary for just being money sinks. You buy the boat and then you're like, oh, I gotta fix this, I gotta sand this, I gotta fix this. You're never really taking the boat out. You're always just putting more money in, maybe just one more thing and it'll work, one more thing and it'll get going, and then finally the headache is just enough and you sell it. And so that's the two things of the boat owner's life. And that's how I feel about the Katwalk. It was not for me, couldn't get it to work, too frustrating, too many problems. And then finally that atom bomb of like just locking my whole computer up, and I'm out of that game. So again, what a wonderful technology. I was so hopeful. It cost an insane amount of money for me to do. It was a big sacrifice, and it didn't work out for me. Hopefully this is just part of the information that you'll get, and maybe you will have much more success. I hope that you do. But this is just, you know, a little, I don't have any stake in this. There's a lot of people out there, a lot of reviewers and stuff. And you don't know, I don't know. I mean, I know board gaming content because I love to game and I watch a lot of reviews and things. And so I kind of know who to trust and who not to trust maybe. And it's a smaller industry, but you know, in the VR world, I don't know. I just watch whoever. So I don't really know, you know, who to trust and who not to trust. So hopefully this is like an unbiased, just this was my experience. Take it with a grain of salt, and hopefully it'll help you to make a decision on whether or not this is a technology for you. But for now, I gotta roll.